Thank you. As it has been said, in our path towards sustainability, we can take advantage of this National Recovery and Resilience Plan that will tackle all these topics. You know, we have a 200 billion euros funds. Some of the funds are devoted to businesses and are also part of Industry 5.0 initiative, aiming at energy savings of processes and aiming at a transformation towards sustainability. Now we are connected with the minister who is responsible of this National Resilience and Recovery Plan, Mr. Raffaele Fitto, Minister for South, cohesion policies, European affairs, is with us. Good morning. You have the floor, Mr. Minister. Yes, thank you very much. Good morning. I want to thank Letizia Moratti for inviting me and for giving me the opportunity to discuss about this NRRP. Unfortunately, I couldn't be here present at the San Patrignano community, but I'm here on a video, and I want to thank also Mr. Bonaccini, the president of Emilia-Romagna region. It's important for me to discuss about topics like sustainability and the strategies implemented for energy transition. You know, our government has made some choices in agreement with the European Community and European Commission. It's important, you know, to implement this strategy, but it's also important to consider the goal of energy transition. In the past, I was Minister for European Affairs, and I had the chance to work in Europe. So I understood and I participated in the development of the green strategy, the Green Deal, you know. So we have never discussed the goals to be achieved. Sometimes we had to review the timing to reach these goals. And in this context, you know, our government made some choices at different levels. The first choice is strictly related to this National Recovery and Resilience Plan. As you said, this is about a plan for about 200 billion euros. I mean, altogether, the global resources account for 220 billion euros. But if we look at the beginning of the plan, you know, there are some difficulties for Italy. I mean, we are able to spend the entire funding because the value of the plan is 194 billion euros. But the quality of the expenses and the goals related to sustainability, the ability to create the conditions for structural investments in Italy that can last beyond the final time frame of August 2026 are important. Very often people look at the ability to invest money and do disregard reforms that must be associated to the implementation of the plan. The governmental reforms are important, and our government has identified some criticalities, and together with the European Commission, we have a constant dialogue in order to amend the NRRP plan at two levels. This amendment was necessary due to the war in Ukraine that increased the cost of raw materials. So we had to make some changes due to this raw material cost increase. The second element is that certain projects were decided before the plan, and it was difficult for us to report all the results of these plans, of these projects that were not included in the plan. That's why we had to make a financial change and the structural and organizational change of the plan. In the first case, for the financial aspect, we made a change for 21 billion euros, together with in agreement with the European Commission, of course. Within this change, fundamental choices were made for our repower projects that accounts for 15 billion euros and for the setting up of new infrastructure in order to make Italy more autonomous. At the second level, we decided to enact 56 reforms. 5 of them concerns the Repower Italy initiative. So these are the changes that we applied to introduce to this plan. It's important to say that in the amendment phase there was a debate. So a huge participation of stakeholders. In order to give an answer to the possible difficulties in implementing the plan. So our government passed a law decree in order to find a financial coverage to all the projects that are no longer part of the new NRRP plan, because there were other countries that, like Italy, decided to accept the total share of the loans granted by the EU, but did not were not able to answer to the challenges of energy crisis. So we decided to take just a part of these loans for a 5.0 transition initiative, which accounts to for 5.6 billion euros. And we did this in order to make a better use of the funds. But apart from these choices, there is another important aspect I want to share with you. At the San Patrignano community, because there are some projects related to the construction of electric infrastructures. We are going to implement these new projects with important players like Snam and Terna. This in order to improve the electric grid at national level. And I'm sure you're going to discuss about it, you are also going to discuss about the possible connections between Europe and Northern Africa with the Piano Mattei that was launched by Giorgia Meloni. This Mattei plan is a strategy that wants to offer an answer to the new geopolitical events and the challenges we are confronted with. Italy wants to become a bridge between Europe and the north bank of the Mediterranean Sea. So Italy made some very clear choices with this NRRP plan. We changed some goals of the third and the fourth tranche of the loans, which allowed us to receive the funds. And for the fifth tranche of the loans, we updated the goals in order to have a total plan that is more suitable to the present economic conditions we are confronted with. At the same time, we have decided to coordinate resources in the various investment opportunities that our country has. That's why our Prime Minister introduced not only personal responsibility of to implement this national recovery and resilience plan, and as President Bonaccini knows very well, we have been working with all Italian regions, namely those regions that implement the resources of this NRRP plan and also the other national resources to improve the types of investments and interventions that the regions can do. So working together with the regions is important and is essential to achieve our strategies. And to, make choices where the money spent can obtain significant achievements. We want to have a good quality of our expenditure that can really contribute to the growth of the country. Then another important remark relates reforms that are part of the amendment of this plan. There are 5 reforms that are linked to Repower EU, and other 2 reforms are important to give you a perspective. The first reform is linked to the Italian law on renewable energies. You know that it is essential to implement renewable energies in order to improve our energy capacity, to have a system of energy available for the entire country. We shared this initiative with the European Commission. And that's important, to offer the best answer. The second remark I'd like to share with you concerns a proposed reform of skills. And within the European policies, we must be confronted with the energy transition and the digital transition. It is obvious that the strategies that will be implemented, the sensitivity that people have when confronted with these topics, must be supported by specific skills. It's difficult to assume to invest resources in training that do not meet the real demand. So we need to create a synergy in order to exploit all resources available and to increase the skills at this level, not only for the public administration, but for the entire social system. In Italy, we need to have a specific training to be competitive even after the National Resilience and Reform Plan. And this requires a huge investment supported by reforms. It is an opportunity, but it's not something that happens one shot. We must lay the foundations in order to have a continuous progress, even after 2026, when the time frame of the plan finishes. And we want to adopt consistent policies. So we need a strategic vision, as I said before, and with the example of the Mattei plan, but we also need to strengthen our strategic autonomy. Italy must have a strategic autonomy in order to solve immediate problems that may arise, like, for instance, war in Ukraine, or we must be able to adjust our plans when confronted to a delocalization that strongly affected our industrial system. So Italy must develop a specific strength to fight against these possible problems that may arise suddenly. So it's important, it's difficult, we know, but we can make all the efforts because the whole conditions are there for us to succeed. Of course, we can take advantage of advices and support of certain stakeholders. So an initiative like today's conference can be an important occasion for us to improve our action and the government's choices. Thank you for your availability. Thank you for your attention. I hope I will have an opportunity to be with you in presence on another occasion.
20 secondi.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Just 20 seconds, because you mentioned the NRRP plan. Mr. Giorgetti said we must act quickly, but also we must act good. So what can you say after 2026? You said that you want to go beyond 2026 to implement this plan. Do you think it's possible? Because Mr. Gentiloni said it's not possible.
You said before that I have a heavy role, a heavy responsibility at the ministry. And this is why I don't take part in a political debate. Today we have a term, June 2026, so the job of the government in terms of revisions, modification of installments is finalized to the objective of 2026. As I was saying before, there is a decree that deals with the whole phase of enactment to give some answers in terms of the PNRR for these types of investments. As far as I'm concerned, this is what we're working on at the moment. Now we have an objective, June 2026, and I would like to state this because in Italy we often talk about things that don't work, but in terms of the February report of the European Commission with independent assessments, and Italian papers did not talk about these good news, actually. Italy has been shown as the country who has reached the most number of milestones. So the job is very complex. We have a lot of difficulties, but we need to have a positive approach in terms of the capacity of reaching this result. So June 2026 is the time, and we are concentrated on this time. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Minister. And obviously, this is what we're working on. But of course, if we get, an extensions, it would be good. But it is very important to work as if there is no extension in Italy or in other countries.